Nothing like marital trust to keep a man up at night. I'm standing in my kitchen at 2 in the morning, staring at a cup of coffee that's gone cold 3 times over. The house is silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of settling wood. Leah's been asleep for hours, or at least pretending to be. These days, it's hard to tell the difference. The phone on the counter buzzes. Not mine, hers. She left it charging next to the toaster, face up like always. The screen lights up with a text message preview that makes my blood freeze. Miss you? Can't wait for tomorrow? M. The M is not for marriage. I pick up her phone, my thumb hovering over the screen. 3 months ago, I would have felt guilty about this. 3 months ago, I still believed my wife when she said she was working late. 3 months ago, I was still naive enough to think that 15 years of marriage meant something. The lock screen shows 2 more messages from the same number. I don't need to see them to know what they say. I've been watching this slow-motion train wreck for weeks now, collecting pieces of a puzzle I never wanted to solve. Footsteps on the stairs. I set the phone back down exactly where I found it and lean against the counter, arms crossed. Leah appears in the doorway, squinting in the kitchen light. Her auburn hair is messed up from sleep, and she's wearing the oversized t-shirt I bought her for Christmas 2 years ago. She used to look beautiful like this. Now all I see is a stranger wearing my wife's face. Eli? What are you doing up? Her voice has that carefully neutral tone she's perfected lately. Not quite concerned, not quite annoyed. Just careful. Couldn't sleep, I say. You know how it is. She moves to the refrigerator, opens it, stares inside without taking anything. Classic avoidance behavior. I should know. I spent 10 years in military intelligence reading people's tells. You should try that melatonin I bought, she says, still staring at the leftover Chinese takeout. It really helps. Does it help with trust issues too? The refrigerator door closes with a soft thud. She turns to face me, and I can see her mental gears turning. She's trying to decide if this is a trap or just insomnia talking. What's that supposed to mean? I gesture toward her phone. Your yoga retreat got moved up, didn't it? Tomorrow instead of next weekend? The lie comes so easily to her that I almost admire it. Yeah, Holly had a scheduling conflict. I meant to tell you earlier, but you were on that conference call with the Portland client. Holly. Her best friend and enabler. The one who's been covering for her affair with helpful alibis and girls' night stories. I've been tracking their text conversations too. Amazing how quickly people throw their morals out the window when their friend asks them to lie to her husband. That's funny, I say, pushing off from the counter, because I checked your bag. The color drains from her face. You what? Your overnight bag, the one you packed for your yoga retreat. I walk to the hall closet and pull out her small suitcase, setting it on the kitchen table. Funny thing about yoga retreats, they usually require yoga clothes. I unzip the bag and start pulling out items. Black lace lingerie I haven't seen in months. The red dress she wore on our anniversary 3 years ago. Her good perfume. Silk pajamas that cost more than my work boots. Either this yoga instructor has very specific requirements, I continue, or you're planning a different kind of stretching exercise. Leah's jaw tightens. The mask is starting to slip, and underneath it, I can see something I've never seen before in my wife's eyes. Not shame or guilt, anger. She's angry at me for catching her. You had no right to go through my things. I had no right. I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Leah, I'm your husband. I have every right to wonder why my wife is packing lingerie for a yoga retreat. It's not what you think. Then what is it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're planning to spend the weekend with someone who isn't me. Someone whose name starts with M. Her phone buzzes again on the counter. We both look at it. Another message from M, the preview showing just enough to confirm what we both already know. Matt, I say. Your ex-boyfriend, Matt. The one who owns that gym downtown. The one you've been texting for the past 2 months. She opens her mouth to deny it, then closes it. The silence stretches between us like a wire about to snap. How long? I ask. Eli, please. Can we talk about this rationally? How long? She sits down heavily in one of the kitchen chairs, suddenly looking older than her 34 years. It's not what you think. We've been talking. Talking. Right. And this talking requires overnight bags and lingerie. You don't understand. Things between us have been, don't. I hold up a hand. Don't you dare make this about us. About our marriage. You want to leave? Fine. You want to be with Matt? Fine. But don't you dare try to make me the villain in your story. I pick up her phone and hold it out to her. Why don't you finish your conversation with Matt in person? Tell him the husband knows. She takes the phone with shaking hands. For a moment, I think she might actually tell me the truth. Apologize. Try to fight for what we had. Instead, she stands up and looks at me with eyes full of cold fury. You know what your problem is, Eli? You're boring. You've always been boring. I'm 34 years old, and I feel like I'm dying inside this house, in this marriage with you. The words hit like a physical blow, but I keep my face neutral. Years of military training have their advantages. Well, I say quietly, now you don't have to. She storms out of the kitchen, her footsteps heavy on the stairs. A few minutes later, I hear the bedroom door slam. I sit down at the kitchen table and look at the contents of her overnight bag scattered across the surface. The red dress catches the light from the overhead fixture. I remember buying it for her, remember how her face lit up when she tried it on. Remember dancing with her at our anniversary dinner while she wore it. That woman is gone. The person upstairs, packing for a weekend with her ex-boyfriend, is someone else entirely. I pull out my own phone and scroll through the photos I've been collecting, screenshots of text messages, credit card statements showing charges at hotels I've never been to. A private investigator's report I commissioned 3 weeks ago, complete with photos of Leah and Matt having lunch at a restaurant across town. She thinks I'm boring, predictable. The quiet husband who works from home and doesn't ask too many questions. She's about to learn how wrong she is. The next morning, Leah leaves without saying goodbye. I watch from the bedroom window as she loads her bag into her silver Accord and backs out of the driveway. She doesn't look up at the house, doesn't wave, just drives away like she's escaping from prison. In a way, I guess she is. I make myself breakfast, real breakfast, not the protein bars and coffee I've been living on lately. Eggs, bacon, toast, the works. I'm going to need my strength for what comes next. My phone rings while I'm washing dishes. Ray Kowalski, my old army buddy who runs The Last Turn, the local bar where half the town goes to drink and gossip. Morning, sunshine, Ray's gravelly voice comes through the speaker. You sound chipper for a man whose wife just drove off with her weekend bag. Mrs. Carmichael called you already? Mrs. Carmichael called everyone. According to her, Leah left with a suspicious amount of luggage for a yoga retreat. He chuckles. That old bat doesn't miss anything. Mrs. Carmichael lives next door and has made neighborhood surveillance her full-time hobby since her husband died. Usually I find her nosiness annoying. Today, it might be useful. Ray, I need a favor. Does this favor involve me pretending I didn't hear what I just heard? No. Actually, it involves the opposite. I need you to listen very carefully to everything I'm about to tell you, and then I need you to do what you do best, which is talk. I spend the next 20 minutes laying out the situation for Ray. Not everything, just enough to get the ball rolling. Ray's bar is gossip central for our little town. Information flows through that place like beer from a tap, and Ray controls the flow. Jesus, Eli, I'm sorry, man. I know you guys have been having problems, but I didn't think... It's fine, I say, though we both know it's not. The question is, what am I going to do about it? What do you mean? I mean, My wife thinks I'm boring, predictable. She thinks she can walk all over me and I'll just take it. Maybe it's time to show her that she doesn't know me as well as she thinks. There's a long pause. Ray knows me well enough to understand that when I use that particular tone of voice, things are about to get interesting. What do you need? Information. Matt Dugan owns that gym on Maple Street, right? CrossFit something? CrossFit Revolution. Yeah, he bought it about 2 years ago. Flashy place, all chrome and mirrors, caters to the yoga pants crowd, if you know what I mean. I need to know his schedule, his routine, where he goes, when he goes there. And I need to know about his relationship with my wife. How long it's been going on, how serious it is, who else knows about it. Eli, you're not thinking of doing anything stupid, are you? I laugh, and this time there's actually some humor in it. Ray, I'm a security consultant. I specialize in finding people's weaknesses and exploiting them. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm going to do something very, very smart. After I hang up with Ray, I drive out to the country house. It's a small cabin about 20 miles outside town, inherited from my grandfather. Leah and I used to come here on weekends when we were first married. We'd build fires in the stone fireplace, cook simple meals, make love on the old quilted bed. Now it's just another piece of property we never talk about. The cabin sits on 50 acres of pine forest, accessible only by a winding dirt road that branches off from the main highway. No neighbors for miles. No cell phone coverage unless you climb up to the ridge behind the house. Perfect privacy. I unlock the front door and step inside. The air smells like dust and old wood. Everything is exactly as we left it 6 months ago. Furniture covered with white sheets, fireplace cold and empty, windows grimy with neglect. I spend the next few hours making preparations. I install new smart locks on all the doors, controlled by an app on my phone. I set up a security camera system with motion sensors and night vision. I stock the pantry with canned food and bottled water. I test the generator and make sure the propane tanks are full. To anyone else, it would look like I'm preparing for a long stay. In reality, I'm preparing for a very short, very memorable visit. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. But I know who it is. I've been monitoring Leah's communications for weeks. Change of plans. Meet me at the old place. Bring Matt. Time to stop hiding. I smile as I send the message. Leah will assume it's from one of her friends, someone who knows about the affair and wants to help her take the next step. She'll think it's romantic, dramatic, the kind of grand gesture she's been craving. She has no idea how dramatic things are about to get. I drive back to town and stop at the hardware store. I need rope, duct tape, and a few other supplies. Nothing illegal. I'm not planning to hurt anyone. But I want to make sure my guests stay put long enough to hear what I have to say. The young clerk at the counter looks at my purchases with mild curiosity. Building something? You could say that, I reply. I'm building a better understanding between some people who've been having communication problems. He rings up my items without further comment. Small-town clerks learn early not to ask too many questions. On the drive home, I think about what Leah said last night, that I'm boring, that she feels like she's dying inside our marriage. The words still sting, but they also clarify things. She doesn't want the man I've been. She wants excitement, drama, danger. Fine. I'll give her exactly what she wants. I park in my driveway and notice Mrs. Carmichael peeking through her curtains. I wave at her, and she quickly ducks out of sight. By tomorrow, everyone in town will know that Eli Rourke was buying rope and duct tape at the hardware store. The gossip mill will be spinning theories about what that quiet security consultant is up to. Let them wonder. By the time this is over, they'll have their answer. My phone rings as I'm carrying my supplies into the house. It's Leah calling from her burner phone, the one she thinks I don't know about. Eli? Her voice is breathless, excited. I got your message. Did you? About meeting at the old place. I think it's time. I think we need to have this conversation. I let the silence stretch for a few seconds. What conversation would that be, Leah? You know what conversation. About us. About what happens next. I'll bring Matt, like you said. We can all talk like adults. Like adults. Right. I set down my bag of supplies and lean against the kitchen counter. What time? Tomorrow afternoon? Around 3 inches? Perfect. I'll see you then. Eli? I want you to know that I never meant for it to happen this way. I never wanted to hurt you. I know, I say, and for the first time in weeks, I mean it. I know you didn't want to hurt me, Leah. You just wanted to be happy. There's nothing wrong with wanting to be happy. She's quiet for a moment. Thank you for understanding. Oh, I understand perfectly. I'll see you tomorrow. I hang up and look at my reflection in the kitchen window. The man staring back at me looks calm, almost peaceful. For the first time since this nightmare started, I feel like I'm in control. Leah wants excitement. She's about to get more excitement than she ever bargained for. I arrive at the country house at noon, 3 hours before my guests are expected. The morning is crisp and clear, with that particular quality of light you only get in Maine during late fall. The trees are mostly bare now, their branches reaching toward a sky the color of old pewter. Perfect weather for a reckoning. I park my truck behind the cabin, out of sight from the main road. Then I walk the perimeter, checking my preparations from the night before. The motion sensors are working perfectly. The cameras are recording to a cloud server that Leah doesn't know exists. The smart locks are responding to my phone commands. Everything is ready. At 2:30, I get a text from Leah. Running a few minutes late. Matt's bringing wine. This feels like the right thing to do. Wine. Of course. She thinks this is going to be some kind of civilized discussion about the end of our marriage. A mature conversation between 3 adults who want what's best for everyone. She has no idea what she's walking into. I position myself in the tree line about 50 yards from the cabin, where I have a clear view of the driveway, but can't be seen from the road. My phone is connected to all the security systems. I can lock or unlock any door, activate any camera, trigger any alarm with a few taps on the screen. At 3:15, Leah's silver Accord comes bouncing down the dirt road. She parks in front of the cabin and sits in the car for a moment, checking her makeup in the rearview mirror. She's wearing jeans and a blue sweater I bought her for her birthday 2 years ago. Her hair is pulled back in a ponytail, and she looks younger than she has in months. She looks like the woman I married. She gets out of the car and walks to the front door, trying the handle. Locked, of course. She pulls out her phone and calls me. Eli? I'm here, but the door is locked. I'll be right there, I lie. I'm up at the ridge checking on something. Give me 5 minutes. She hangs up and walks around to the back of the house, trying that door too. Also locked. She returns to the front porch and sits on the old wooden swing we installed during our 2nd year of marriage. She looks peaceful sitting there, almost content. At 3:45, Matt's black BMW comes roaring up the driveway, throwing up clouds of dust. He parks next to Leah's car and gets out, carrying a bottle of red wine and wearing his trademark cocky grin. He's exactly what you'd expect from a gym owner. Tall, muscular, perfectly groomed. The kind of man who spends more on hair products than I spend on groceries. He walks over to Leah and kisses her. Not a friendly peck on the cheek, but a real kiss. The kind of kiss that says they've been doing this for a while. I take photos with my phone's telephoto lens. Evidence for later. They talk for a few minutes, their voices too low for me to hear, but their body language tells the story. Leah is nervous, fidgeting with her car keys. Matt is confident, relaxed, like he owns the place. He keeps touching her, her arm, her back, her face, in a way that's both possessive and casual. Matt tries the front door, then walks around the house checking windows. He finds one that's unlocked, I left it that way on purpose, and climbs through. A few seconds later, he opens the front door for Leah. Breaking and entering, I murmur to myself, taking more photos. That's a felony in Maine. They disappear inside the cabin. I give them 10 minutes to get comfortable. Then I activate the smart locks on all the doors and windows. The soft electronic clicks are inaudible from inside the house, but now my guests are securely contained. I walk out of the tree line and approach the cabin. Through the front window, I can see them in the living room. Matt has opened the wine and poured 2 glasses. Leah is sitting on the couch, looking around nervously. I knock on the front door. Eli? Leah's voice is muffled by the heavy wood. The door seems to be stuck. That's because it's locked, I call back. Silence. Then the sound of the door handle rattling frantically. Eli, this isn't funny. Open the door. In a minute. First, I think we should have that conversation you wanted. I can hear them whispering urgently inside. Matt's voice, louder and more aggressive. Who the hell does this guy think he is? He's my husband, Leah replies, and there's something in her tone I haven't heard in months. Fear. Good. Fear means she's finally taking me seriously. I walk around to the back door and knock on it too. Matt? You in there? I saw your car. Hope you don't mind that I locked you in, but I wanted to make sure you didn't leave before we had a chance to chat. Open this door right now, Matt shouts. This is kidnapping. Actually, it's not. You broke into my house, remember? I have it on video. You're trespassing on my property. I'm just making sure you don't leave before the police arrive. That's a lie, of course. I'm not calling the police. Not yet. I return to the front door and lean against it. Leah, honey, you still there? Eli, please, let us out. We can talk about this like civilized people. We are talking. I'm just making sure you don't run away in the middle of our conversation. You have a habit of doing that lately. I pull out my phone and open the app that controls the cabin's sound system. I've preloaded it with a playlist, every song that played at our wedding 15 years ago. I hit play, and the opening notes of At Last by Etta James fill the cabin. Remember this song, Leah? You said it was perfect for our first dance. You said it was how you felt about finding me. At last, my love has come along. The music swells, and I can hear her crying inside. Eli, please stop this. Stop what? The music? The memories? Or should I stop pretending that our marriage means anything to you? Matt's voice again, closer to the door. Look, man, I know this is hard, but what, Matt? But you're sorry? But you didn't mean for it to happen? But you're in love, and I should just step aside like a gentleman? Something like that, yeah. I laugh. You know what's funny, Matt? I actually respect you more than I respect her. At least you're honest about what you want. She's been lying to me for months. I never lied to you, Leah says. Really? What about the yoga retreat? What about all those late nights at work? What about the girls' nights out with Holly that were actually dates with him? Silence. Here's what's going to happen, I continue. You're going to stay in there and think about what you've done. Both of you. And tomorrow, I'm going to let you out, and we're going to have a very public conversation about the future of our marriage. What do you mean, public? Leah asks. I mean, everyone in town is going to know exactly what kind of woman you are. And everyone is going to know exactly what kind of man Matt is. The kind who breaks into other people's houses to steal their wives. I can hear them arguing inside, their voices rising. Matt wants to break a window and escape. Leah wants to try reasoning with me. Neither of them understands that reasoning time is over. I walk back to my truck and drive away, leaving them locked in the cabin with their wine, their guilt, and their growing panic. The security cameras will record everything they say and do. By tomorrow, I'll have hours of footage showing exactly what their relationship is really like when they think no one is watching. As I drive back toward town, my phone rings. It's Ray. Eli, where are you? Mrs. Carmichael called. She says she saw Leah and some guy drive out toward your place an hour ago. Did she? Interesting. Eli, what are you doing? I'm giving my wife exactly what she asked for. Excitement. Drama. a story she'll never forget. This sounds like it's going to end badly. Ray, it already ended badly. The marriage is over. Leah made that decision months ago. I'm just making sure everyone knows it. I hang up and drive toward town where Mrs. Carmichael is no doubt already spreading the news that Eli Rourke's wife drove out to the old cabin with another man. By nightfall, half the town will be talking about it. By tomorrow, the other half will know too. Phase 1 of my plan is complete. Now comes the fun part. I don't sleep that night. Instead, I sit in my home office, watching the security feeds from the cabin on my laptop. Leah and Matt spend the first few hours trying to find a way out. They test every window, every door, even the old chimney. Nothing. The cabin is locked up tighter than a bank vault. Around midnight, they give up trying to escape and start drinking the wine Matt brought. That's when things get interesting. "This is insane," Matt says, pacing back and forth in front of the fireplace. "We should call the police." "And tell them what?" Leah is sitting on the couch, her second glass of wine in her hand. "That my husband locked us in his own house after we broke in?" "We didn't break in. The window was open. You climbed through someone else's window without permission. That's breaking and entering." Matt stops pacing and stares at her. "Are you defending him?" "I'm being realistic. Eli isn't stupid. He's thought this through. She's right about that. I have thought it through, very carefully." They argue for another hour about what to do, their voices getting louder as the wine takes effect. Matt wants to break a window and run. Leah keeps pointing out that we're 20 miles from town, in the middle of the woods, with no cell phone coverage. Even if they could get out, where would they go? Around 2 in the morning, the conversation takes a turn I wasn't expecting. "Maybe this is a sign," Leah says. "What kind of sign?" "Maybe we're moving too fast. Maybe we should slow down, think about what we're doing." Matt sits down next to her on the couch. "Are you having second thoughts?" "I don't know. Maybe. This whole thing with Eli, I never expected him to react like this." "What did you expect? That he'd just roll over and let you walk away?" "I expected him to be, I don't know, boring, like always." Matt laughs, but there's no humor in it. Well, he's definitely not boring now. They sit in silence for a while, drinking wine and staring at the cold fireplace. Finally, Leah speaks again. "Do you love me, Matt?" The question hangs in the air for a long time. Too long. "Of course I do," he says eventually, but even through the security camera, I can see he's lying. "Do you? Really? Or do you just love the idea of taking something away from someone else? That's not fair, isn't it? You never wanted me when I was single. You only started pursuing me after I got married." Matt stands up and walks to the window, looking out into the darkness. "That's not true." "It is true. We dated for 6 months in college, and you dumped me for that blonde sorority girl. What was her name? Jessica?" "That was 15 years ago, Leah. And now, 15 years later, you suddenly decide you made a mistake? Right after I tell you I'm unhappy in my marriage?" I lean back in my chair, fascinated. This is better than anything I could have planned. They're destroying their relationship all by themselves. "Look," Matt says, turning back to face her. "We're good together. You know we are. The sex is incredible. We have fun, we make each other laugh. Isn't that enough?" "Is it? What happens after I leave Eli? What happens when I'm free and available and not forbidden anymore? Will you still want me then?" Another long silence. Matt refills his wine glass and doesn't answer. "That's what I thought," Leah says quietly. They spend the rest of the night on opposite sides of the room, not talking, not touching. By dawn, they're both passed out, Matt on the couch, Leah curled up in the old recliner by the window. I close the laptop and go to make coffee. In a few hours, I'll drive back to the cabin and release them. But first, I have some phone calls to make. I start with Ray. It's time, I tell him. Time for what? Time for everyone to know the truth about my marriage. I spend the next hour sending carefully selected screenshots and video clips to Ray's phone. Nothing too explicit. I'm not trying to humiliate Leah sexually. Just enough to show the nature of her relationship with Matt and the fact that they spent the night together at my cabin. Ray will share the information with his most reliable customers at the bar. They'll share it with their friends and neighbors. By noon, everyone in town will know that Eli Rourke's wife is having an affair with Matt Dugan from the gym. Next, I call Detective Amos at the police station. He's a fair man, even if he doesn't particularly like me. We had a run-in a few years ago when I caught one of his officers taking bribes from a client of mine. He's held a grudge ever since, but he's professional enough to do his job. Detective? It's Eli Rourke. I want to report a break-in at my property. When did this happen? Yesterday afternoon. I have it on video. 2 people broke into my cabin on Ridge Road. Anyone you know? Unfortunately, yes. My wife and her boyfriend. There's a pause. Mr. Rourke, this sounds like a domestic dispute, not a criminal matter. Breaking and entering is a criminal matter, Detective. I have video evidence of them climbing through my window without permission. I also have evidence that they've been conducting an affair for several months, using my property for their meetings. Another pause. Are you pressing charges? I'm considering it. I'll be in later today to file a formal complaint. I hang up before he can ask any more questions. I'm not actually going to press charges. That would complicate things unnecessarily. But the threat will be enough to keep Matt and Leah off balance. At 9 o'clock, I drive back to the cabin. The security cameras show that my guests are awake, hungover, and arguing again. Perfect. I park in front of the cabin and walk to the front door. Good morning, sunshine, I call out. Everyone sleep well? Eli, please. Leah's voice is hoarse. Just let us out. We'll go our separate ways, and you'll never see us again. Oh, but I want to see you again. We're married, remember? Till death do us part and all that. I unlock the front door and step inside. The cabin smells like wine and regret. Leah is sitting on the couch, her hair disheveled, her makeup smeared. Matt is standing by the fireplace, trying to look threatening despite his obvious hangover. You can't keep us here, he says. I'm not keeping you anywhere. You're free to go. I gesture toward the open door. But before you do, I thought you might want to know that everyone in town is talking about you. Leah's face goes pale. What do you mean? I pull out my phone and show her a screenshot of a text conversation between Ray and one of his customers. Mrs. Carmichael saw you drive out here yesterday. She told Ray. Ray told his customers. His customers told their friends. You know how small towns work. What exactly are they saying? Matt asks. They're saying that Eli Rourke's wife is cheating on him with the guy who owns the gym. They're saying she spent the night at her husband's cabin with her boyfriend. They're saying it's the biggest scandal this town has seen in years. Leah starts crying. You did this on purpose. I didn't do anything. You did this. You chose to have an affair. You chose to meet your boyfriend at my cabin. You chose to break into my house. I just made sure people knew about it. Matt takes a step toward me. You son of a... Careful, Matt. I've got you on video threatening me in my own home. That won't look good when the police review the footage. He stops, his fists clenched at his sides. Here's what's going to happen, I continue. You're both going to walk out of here and drive back to town. Leah, you're going to pack your things and move out of my house. Matt, you're going to stay away from my wife until our divorce is final, and both of you are going to live with the consequences of your choices. What consequences? Leah asks. I smile. You'll find out soon enough. They leave without another word, driving away in their separate cars. I watch them go, then pull out my phone and call Ray again. Phase 2, I tell him. What's phase 2? Now we make sure they never forget what they've done. By Monday morning, the story has spread through town like wildfire. I can see it in the way people look at me when I stop for coffee at the diner. Sympathetic glances from the women, respectful nods from the men. Everyone knows what happened, and everyone has an opinion about it. Leah moved out over the weekend, taking only her clothes and personal items. She's staying with Holly, according to Mrs. Carmichael, who's been monitoring the situation with the dedication of a war correspondent. Matt, meanwhile, has been fielding angry phone calls from his clients' husbands. Apparently, several marriages in town have been having trust issues lately, and the wives' gym memberships are being canceled left and right. I'm having lunch at the last turn when Detective Amos walks in. He spots me at the bar and comes over, his expression unreadable. "Mr. Rourke, how are you holding up?" "I've been better, Detective, but I'm managing." He orders a beer and sits down next to me. "I looked into that break-in you reported, and it seems like your wife and her friend left voluntarily. No signs of forced entry, no property damage. Technically, they did climb through an unlocked window, but given that one of them is your wife..." "I understand. It's a gray area." "It is. But I have to ask, did you lock them in that cabin?" I take a sip of my beer and consider the question. "Detective, my cabin has electronic locks controlled by a smartphone app. Sometimes those apps malfunction. Technology can be unreliable." He studies my face for a long moment. "Uh-huh. And the fact that they were released right after you arrived was just a coincidence." "I'm good with technology. I was able to reset the system." "I'll bet you were." He takes a drink and looks around the bar. "You know, Mr. Rourke, I've been a cop for 20 years. I've seen a lot of domestic situations. Most of them end badly. This one's already ended badly, Detective. My marriage is over. My wife is with another man. I'm just trying to move on with my life." "Are you? Because from where I sit, it looks like you're just getting started." He finishes his beer and stands up. "Word of advice? Whatever you're planning, make sure it stays legal. I'd hate to have to arrest you for something stupid." He leaves, and I sit at the bar thinking about his warning. He's right to be concerned. What I have planned next definitely pushes the boundaries of what's legal, but it doesn't cross them. I've been very careful about that. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. L." I text back, "We have nothing to talk about. Please, just 5 minutes. Meet me at the park." I consider ignoring her, but curiosity gets the better of me. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting on a bench in the town park, watching Leah walk across the grass toward me. She looks terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, her skin pale and drawn. The affair is taking its toll. "Thank you for coming," she says, sitting down on the other end of the bench. "You said 5 minutes. Start talking. I want you to stop." "Stop what?" "You know what. The gossip, the rumors, the public humiliation. I get it, okay? You're angry. You have every right to be angry, but this has gone far enough." I turn to look at her. "Has it?" "Because from where I sit, this is just the beginning." "What do you want from me, Eli? Do you want me to apologize?" "Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I cheated on you. I'm sorry I lied to you. I'm sorry I hurt you. There. Are you happy now?" "No, I'm not happy." "Do you know why?" "Why?" "Because you're not sorry you did it. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference." She stares at her hands. "Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not sorry. Maybe I needed to do something for myself for once, instead of just being your boring wife in your boring house in your boring life." There's that word again. Boring. It's true, isn't it? When's the last time we did anything exciting? When's the last time you surprised me, or took me somewhere new, or made me feel like I was more than just your roommate? I stand up and look down at her. You want to know when I last surprised you? 3 days ago, when I locked you in a cabin with your boyfriend. You want to know when I last took you somewhere new? When I took you on a journey of self-discovery that showed you exactly what kind of person you really are. And you want to know when I last made you feel like more than my roommate? Right now, when I'm making you feel like the cheating, lying, selfish woman you've become. She starts crying again. I never wanted it to be like this. But it is like this, and it's going to get worse before it gets better. I walk away, leaving her sitting alone on the bench. As I reach my truck, my phone rings. It's Matt. We need to talk, he says. No, we don't. Look, man, this has gone far enough. Leah is falling apart, my business is suffering, and half the town thinks we're some kind of criminals. Aren't you? We're people who made a mistake. We're not monsters. You're people who made a choice. Now you get to live with the consequences. What do you want? Money? I can pay you. Just name your price. I laugh. You think this is about money? Then what? What do you want from us? I want you to understand what you've done. I want you to feel what I felt when I found out my wife was cheating on me. I want you to know what it's like to have your life turned upside down by someone you trusted. Okay, we understand. We get it. We screwed up. Now, can we move on? No, Matt. We can't move on. Because this isn't over yet. I hang up and drive home. There's one more phase to my plan, and it's going to be the most satisfying one yet. The abandoned sawmill sits on the outskirts of town like a monument to better times. It's been closed for 15 years, ever since the logging industry moved operations further north. The building is a massive structure of weathered wood and rusted metal, surrounded by overgrown fields and forgotten machinery. It's also the perfect place for a final confrontation. I spend Tuesday morning preparing the site. I set up a portable projector and screen in the main building, powered by a generator I borrowed from the cabin. I arrange folding chairs in rows like a small theater. I test the sound system and make sure everything is working perfectly. Then I start making phone calls. Ray, I need you to spread the word. Tell everyone that there's going to be a special presentation at the old sawmill tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Tell them it's about the Leah Rourke situation, and that all the questions are going to be answered. Eli, what are you planning? I'm planning to give this town the entertainment it's been craving. And I'm planning to give my wife and her boyfriend a memory they'll never forget. I make similar calls to Mrs. Carmichael, to several of Leah's co-workers, to members of Matt's gym, and to anyone else who might be interested in seeing how this story ends. I don't tell them exactly what they're going to see, just that it will be worth their time. Word spreads quickly. By Wednesday afternoon, half the town is talking about the mysterious presentation at the sawmill. The other half is trying to figure out what Eli Rourke has planned. Wednesday evening, I send identical texts to Leah and Matt. Meet me at the sawmill at 8 p.m. Come alone. It's time to finish this. I arrive at the sawmill at 7:30 and make final preparations. The projector is loaded with a carefully edited compilation of security footage from the cabin, screenshots of text messages, photos from the private investigator, and other evidence of their affair. Nothing pornographic or overly intimate, just enough to show the scope and duration of their deception. At 7:45, cars start arriving. Ray comes first, followed by Mrs. Carmichael and several of her neighbors. Then Leah's co-workers, Matt's gym clients, and what looks like half the town. By 8 o'clock, there are at least 50 people sitting in the folding chairs, murmuring excitedly and wondering what they're about to see. Leah and Matt arrive separately, both looking confused and apprehensive. They see the crowd and realize they've been set up, but it's too late to leave now. Everyone is watching them. I step up to the front of the room and clear my throat. The murmuring stops. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. I know you've all been curious about the recent developments in my marriage, so I thought I'd give you the full story. Leah stands up. Eli, don't do this. Sit down, Leah. You wanted excitement and drama. This is your moment. She sits back down, her face pale with fear and embarrassment. I turn on the projector, and the first image appears on the screen. A timeline showing the development of Leah and Matt's relationship, with dates and evidence carefully documented. It started 4 months ago, I begin, with a chance meeting at the gym. Or at least, that's what my wife told me. In reality, it was a carefully planned reunion between two people who dated in college. The next slide shows text messages between Leah and Holly, discussing the accidental meeting with Matt and how to pursue it without arousing suspicion. My wife enlisted her best friend to provide alibis and cover stories. Girls' night out became date night. Yoga retreats became romantic weekends. Business trips became opportunities for afternoon encounters. More slides, more evidence. The crowd is silent, transfixed by the unfolding story. Leah is crying openly now. Matt is staring at his shoes. But the most interesting part, I continue, is what happened when they thought they were alone. When they thought no one was watching or listening. I play selected audio clips from the cabin security system, their arguments about the future of their relationship, Matt's admission that he might not really love her, Leah's doubts about leaving her marriage. You see, ladies and gentlemen, this wasn't a great love story. This was two selfish people using each other to feel better about their own lives. My wife wanted excitement. Matt wanted conquest. Neither of them cared about the damage they were doing. The final slide appears on the screen, a photo of our wedding day, 15 years ago. Leah in her white dress, me in my tuxedo, both of us smiling and full of hope for the future. This is what they destroyed, I say quietly. Not just a marriage, but a promise. A commitment. A life we built together over 15 years. I turn off the projector and face the crowd. I'm not asking for your sympathy. I'm not asking for your forgiveness. I'm just asking you to remember this story the next time someone tells you that adultery is a victimless crime. The silence stretches for a long moment. Then Ray starts clapping. Mrs. Carmichael joins in. Soon, the entire crowd is applauding, and I realize they're not just clapping for the presentation. They're clapping for justice. Leah and Matt try to leave, but they have to walk past the entire crowd to reach the exit. The looks they receive range from disappointment to outright disgust. Several people make comments as they pass. Shame on you, Leah. I'm canceling my gym membership. How could you do that to such a good man? They finally make it outside, but their humiliation is complete. Everyone in town knows exactly what they did and exactly what kind of people they are. As the crowd disperses, Ray walks up to me. That was brutal, Eli. Effective, but brutal. They had it coming. Maybe. But what happens now? You've destroyed their reputations, probably ended their relationship, and made it impossible for them to stay in this town. Is that enough? I look around the empty sawmill, at the folding chairs and the dark projector screen. It's a start. A start? What else are you planning? I smile and head for the exit. You'll see. Outside, most of the cars have already left, but Leah is still there, leaning against her Honda and waiting for me. Are you satisfied now? She asks as I approach. Getting there. You've ruined everything. My job, my friendships, my relationship with Matt. Was it worth it? You ruined those things, Leah. I just made sure everyone knew about it. So what happens next? Do you want me to leave town? Is that what this is about? I stop in front of her and look into her eyes, the same eyes I fell in love with 15 years ago, now filled with anger and desperation. What happens next is up to you. You can stay in town and try to rebuild your reputation. You can leave and start over somewhere else. You can try to win Matt back or find someone new. I don't care anymore. You don't care? I cared about my wife. I cared about my marriage. I cared about the woman who promised to love and honor me for the rest of her life. But that woman is gone. You're just a stranger who looks like her. She starts crying again, but this time there's no manipulation in it. Just genuine grief for what she's lost. I'm sorry, Eli. I know you don't believe me, but I really am sorry. I know you are. But sorry doesn't fix anything. Sorry doesn't give me back 15 years of my life. Sorry doesn't make me trust you again. I walk to my truck and get in. As I drive away, I can see her in my rearview mirror, still standing in the sawmill parking lot, crying in the darkness. For the first time since this whole nightmare started, I feel something like peace. Not happiness. That will take time. But peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing you fought back, that you've refused to be a victim, that you've made the people who hurt you pay for what they did. Leah wanted excitement. Matt wanted conquest. They both got exactly what they deserved. And I got something too. I got my self-respect back. I got justice. And I got the satisfaction of knowing that every time they think about what they did to me, they'll remember this night and the price they paid for their betrayal. It's not a happy ending, but it's the ending I chose, and that makes all the difference. As I drive through town, I can see lights on in windows, people probably still talking about what they witnessed tonight. The story will spread beyond our little town now, carried by social media and word of mouth. Leah and Matt's names will become synonymous with adultery and betrayal. They'll have to live with that for the rest of their lives. And I'll have to live with what I've become, a man who chose revenge over forgiveness, justice over mercy. Some people might say I went too far, others will say they had it coming. I know which side I'm on. I pull into my driveway and sit in the truck for a moment, looking at my house. It's dark and quiet, and it will stay that way. I'm alone now, probably for a long time. But I'm alone by choice, not because someone else decided my life wasn't worth their fidelity. Tomorrow, I'll start the divorce proceedings. I'll divide our assets, sell the house, maybe move somewhere new. I'll rebuild my life from scratch, but this time I'll build it on my own terms. And somewhere in this town, Leah and Matt will be doing the same thing, trying to figure out how to live with the consequences of their choices, trying to rebuild their reputations, trying to find someone who will love them, despite knowing exactly what they're capable of. Good luck with that. I get out of the truck and walk to my front door. As I unlock it, I can hear my phone buzzing with text messages, probably from people who were at the presentation tonight, wanting to share their thoughts or offer their support. I'll read them later. Right now, I just want to sit in my quiet house and enjoy the silence of a man who has nothing left to hide, nothing left to lose, and nothing left to prove. The silence of justice served,